Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here, back again with another RE video. RE videos are response videos to videos that I've already posted. Say for instance, there were some questions or concerns that weren't necessarily answered in the first video. Maybe I made a mistake, something like that. I make these RE videos to try and clear those things up. Last week I posted an installation video of an HID Headlight Kit in my 2004 Honda Element. Reading through some of the comments, you would have thought I posted a video about clubbing baby seals. Obviously, some of you have some very strong opinions about HID headlight kits, and you've taken it quite personally. I don't take those concerns lightly, so I've decided to make this RE video, and I've decided to sort of break down those concerns and categorize them, basically go at them point by point. So that's what I intend to do in this video, and hopefully by the end of it, we can all get along a little bit better because we understand where we're coming from. Why don't we get started with item number one. Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the one mistake that I will concede that I made in this video, and that was about the Kelvin scale and how that relates to light temperature. I had gotten it confused in my mind that light and temperature were closely related. Like say for instance, when you heat up a piece of metal to remove a stuck bolt or something like that, it changes color from a dark gray or whatever until it gets to like a cherry red. And that cherry red color actually equates to a given temperature. With the right measuring equipment, you can actually say, yeah, that's 2000 degrees because it is that color. It doesn't work that way with light. And it doesn't work that way as far as the Kelvin scale and its relationship to light. They use the Kelvin scale to describe light temperature. And somewhere in the middle, right about 5600 K is what sunlight is. So just to give you a benchmark. And it's a rather white light. So right about in the middle of the scale, the whitest lights are right around 5000 K. You go up above 5000 K into to the higher numbers like 8000 K like this kit that I installed, the light gets bluer. All the way up into the ultraviolet range. So the higher the number, the bluer the light gets. All the way up into a spectrum of light that you and I can't necessarily see in ultraviolet. So Kelvin is used to describe that, and then anything below that 5000 K gets redder or yellower in color and temperature, so it's considered warmer. So anything below 5000 K is considered warm, yellow, red light. Anything above 5000 K it's considered cooler, bluer light, going all the way up into ultraviolet. I had messed that up a little bit. And William Thomson was the person that came up with the Kelvin scale. He later became Lord Kelvin. I was a little confused why his name wasn't Kelvin. That's how it worked out. But he was looking for a way to describe a temperature which was absolute zero, which is a temperature which represents when all molecular movement stops. And I believe it's something like minus 273 degrees Celsius, something like that. In addition to being able to describe actual temperatures, Kelvin is also used to describe light temperatures. And come to find out through my research, Kelvin is also a scale that is used to measure electrical noise. I didn't know that. But I'll put links in the description to all of these references and where I found this information. Also things about color temperature if you want to learn more about those kinds of things. But just to set the record straight, it's actually a cooler light, the 8000 K. That's this bluer light, not a warmer light or a hotter light that you go up in the scale. So the higher you go in the scale, the bluer light gets. So it actually gets cooler the higher the numbers go. And it actually gets warmer the lower the numbers go. So below 5000 K, warm. Above 5000 K, cool. I messed that part up. Item number two, is this kit legal? Yes, the kit that I installed on my vehicle in the state of Ohio is legal. According to paragraph 4513.15 of the Ohio Code regarding motor vehicles as far as headlight illumination. I'll summarize it for you. There'll be a link in the description to it. But basically what it states is anything that's driven on the highways and byways of the state of Ohio needs to have headlights. And if it has high beams, it needs to have an indicator on the dash showing that those high beams are illuminated. The other thing it says about that illumination is it cannot blind other drivers. It must be positioned in such a way to where it does not blind oncoming traffic. That's it. There's really only two different sections of the law, and that's all it says. I didn't think that would be good enough for you and the explanation of that, so I called up my local state trooper office and I asked them directly. I said, if I install one of these kits on my 2004 Element, I told them 8000 K HID kit, Do I have to put it in some kind of projector housing? Is it even legal to do that? They told me it was perfectly legal to do that, and I did not have to install it in any type of projector housing. That is according to Ohio law. Now, as far as the rest of you are concerned, I believe I covered this in the first video. Check your local laws and make sure that you're able to install a particular luminance in your vehicle. If they have a threshold or they have laws concerning this type of thing, it would be a real shame for you to go through all this time, trouble, and expense only to find that you're a target for law enforcement because you are not in compliance with your vehicle. So basically what I'm saying is it's legal to do what I did in Ohio. It may not be legal to do what you did where you are. And I get that. I get what you're going after. You don't want me blinding oncoming drivers. We'll get more to that in a minute, but as far as the legality of what I did, 100% legal in the state of Ohio to do what I did. Item number 3. This ballast is mounted too close to the exhaust. By my measurements, this is about 25 inches away from the exhaust. I think that's plenty of room, and I think it'll be just fine. This thing here, that's an intake manifold. Item number 4, I am blinding oncoming traffic with these HID headlights. This is probably the biggest concern, I think, of all of you and your comments that you made about the installation of this kit. One of the things that was mentioned is that I should not install this kit in anything but a projector beam housing. This type of housing for a halogen headlight is a reflector type of housing in that it uses that large silvery projector or reflector in the back of the housing to help disperse the light out onto the road. So the halogen light is bounced around inside that headlight housing and thrown out. With a projector type of housing, it's the type of headlights that I installed in the Subaru not long ago are projector beam type of housing. And they have that little cat's eye type of lens that's there to help focus that light and direct it out to where the driver can see, but it doesn't rise above a certain point so that it can blind drivers coming in the opposite direction. So that lens is basically there to help focus that beam, and with something like an HID headlight, you would want that because you wouldn't want all that light spilling out all over the place so that you're blinding oncoming drivers. Well, one of the things that you had said is that just installing these headlight bulbs naked, if you will, inside these halogen housings is completely and totally wrong, because what happens is the light is dispersed all the way around this bulb and thrown around the inside of that reflector housing, which basically sends light everywhere. So in other words, it's so bright that if oncoming traffic's coming at me, they can't see because light is being scattered everywhere because this is a reflector housing and not a projector housing. Well, that's not true, because you might have missed this part of the video where you installed this retainer first for this bulb. And what this retainer does is not only hold the bulb in place, but it also covers about 50% of the bulb's surface so that it does not scatter light all over the inside of this housing. In fact, it mainly directs it upward toward the top of the housing. And as a result of that, it bounces off mostly the top reflector, which then reflects back down onto the road. So the light comes out of this, hits the top of the reflector, and then is bounced back out onto the road. The light that would normally come down in this direction, there's only a small opening there for that. Only a small opening. And it's not even next to where the filament is, and you can see there's metal inside there. So any light that passes through this opening would have already been reflected and in essence reduced in some way before it passes out of the housing. Yes, it did not go into a projector beam housing, but the light is not being dispersed in the way that you're describing. It is actually the same pattern as it was with the standard halogen bulbs that I had. And if you look at the side-by-side comparison of the two patterns of beams coming out of here, you can see that the light pattern is the same. Yes, the HIDs are brighter, but if you look at where the concentration of the light is, it's in the same place. One thing I will note about that, however, is I noticed that when I installed these, that I had to adjust the headlights. So if you are going to install one of these HID kits, strongly suggest that you adjust those headlights to make sure that exactly your concerns are not happening, to where the light is not going up in such a way to where it's going to blind oncoming traffic. I hope that clears that part of it up, because that seemed to be your primary concern. Scotty Kilmer did it. Honestly, I didn't find out until after I had already shot and edited the video that Scotty Kilmer had posted a video about this very same thing. Motor Fiend had also reached out to him. I didn't find out about that until I was already done. Well, I hope that clears up any of the concerns that you might have about the HID headlight installation video that I put out last week. This can be a dialogue, people. This can be a discussion. It doesn't have to be a pissing contest. In fact, back in episode 1, the very first video I ever posted as Eric the Car Guy, this is what I said. I'll be the first to admit that I do not know everything. So if you feel that you have an answer to someone's question and you don't agree with my answer, feel free to give us your opinion. However, let's be nice, okay? I realize that a lot of car people are very opinionated people, and that's okay, and I understand. And all I'm asking is that you extend me the same courtesy that I'm extending you, and that if we're going to get into a discussion, let's let it be a discussion. Let's not, do this whole he said, she said kind of thing, because it's just, I don't want to be like that. I was thinking about you showing up long before you ever showed up, and that should tell you something. And one more thing, whenever you point your finger at somebody, there are 3 more fingers pointing back at you. And what I mean when I say that is when you leave comments like you did in the last video, you say more about who you are and your character than you do about mine. So you can try to assassinate my character all you want, but you're saying more about yourself than you are about me. If you've got some facts and you want to bring them up and you want to talk about it, let's bring them up. Let's talk about them like civilized human beings. But if you want to resort to name calling and other stuff just to, make you feel better, vent your anger, well, unsubscribe. I won't miss you. I won't miss you at all, because there's plenty of people that I help on a daily basis, and I wish to continue to do that. And if you think I'm out there to try to put out misinformation, you are absolutely incorrect in that. I installed this kit on my Element because I wanted to see better at night. Motor Fiend reached out to me and asked me if I would do a video on the installation of an HID kit, and that's what I did. What did I get paid for doing it? An HID kit for my 2004 Element is what I got paid. And I do that so that I can remain unbiased about the things that I do. For those of you that have all these things to say about what I do, you don't know me, not even close. The rest of you, hey, we're cool. I am not a guy who is completely closed off to the ideas of others. In fact, I like to think that I'm open to the ideas of others and the concerns of others as it comes to this kit. So this is what I propose. I will remove this HID kit from my Element if somebody sends me a proper fog light kit for this vehicle, and even better if you can find one that's HID. And I'm not talking about junk. I'm talking about a decent quality kit with amber lights. I will do an installation video on that kit, and I will remove the HID headlights in exchange for that. So send me a proper kit. I'll take these HIDs out. We'll go back to the halogens, but we'll have the fog lights instead, and I'll still be able to see at night, and you'll feel better that I'm not blinding people. As far as that blinding people goes, as I said, no one's flashed their lights at me yet. And I think the key to that is adjusting the headlights properly. Another thing I will concede is some of you mentioned that during the rain or the fog or inclement weather, this 8000K kit might not have been the best choice. The other night it rained, and I have to agree with you. And the reason is because this bluish light is so reflective that it actually bounces back at you quite a bit. And I will admit that that is a drawback of this particular kit. And if I were to do this again, I would go for something closer to the 5000K range. That is closer to that white light and closer to the light that normally comes out of a vehicle like this. So the blue 8000K kit, I might trade that for, like, say a 5500 or a 5300 or whatever it is that they make that's close to 5000K. I might install that instead, and I believe that would deal with those situations in inclement weather. So these look cool, they're great when it's dry out, but the minute you start dealing with things like rain or fog, it does tend to change the light disbursement and make it more difficult to see at night. So I will concede that. But I hope that offering, there'll be my address is down in the description. It's also over at my website. And in fact, I will have links to everything that I referred to in this video so that you can go and check those things out for yourself. And hopefully that will alleviate any concerns that you've had about my video about the installation of this. But I liked the video. I thought it was a good video. I thought it was well put together. I thought that the tips that I offered were well thought out. You didn't agree with some of the things I did, but you know what? It's my car. And there's just, whenever I present those kind of things to you, it's one solution. It's my solution. It doesn't necessarily have to be your solution. You don't have to do things the way I do them. I'm just here to try to give you a guide, try to give you a template that you can use when you do something like this. Obviously, your experiences may vary, and that's okay. We're all different. We all do things differently, and that was my point way back in episode 1. I know that automotive people are strongly opinionated people most times, and I understand why, and I get that, and I'm willing to work with that. But I'm just asking that, you know, we conduct ourselves in a civilized manner and not resort to name calling and things like that, because that's just rude. One last thing I'm going to talk about before I close this thing out is I did make one mistake during the installation of this HID kit. However, it was edited out and none of you caught it. It kind of was in there, there's a clue. None of you caught it as far as I could see through the comments that I read. However, I did make a different edit of this video and I posted it over at EricTheCarGuy.com for premium members of the website to view. So if you wish to see that mistake that I made that is part of that video, then head over to EricTheCarGuy.com. There'll be a link in the description to how you can sign up for a premium membership over there, and you can watch the mistake that I actually made during the course of this video. If you have automotive questions, I would ask that you head over to EricTheCarGuy.com, type in a couple of keywords to the search function at the top of the page, and it's quite possible an answer to your query may come up right then and there. But if that's not the case, feel free to sign up for our forum. It is absolutely free. All you need is an email address. Just be sure to respond to the confirmation email that should show up. If it doesn't show up, check your spam, bulk folder, firewall, what have you, and click on that confirmation link. That's the only way you're going to be able to get into the site. Other than that, if you wish to connect with me socially, I can be found on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter under EricTheCarGuy, all one word, and I close my videos with, be safe, have fun, and of course, stay dirty.